So hello and a very good evening on Her World India talk show series. I'm Rakhi Bakshi. Almost every day these days in the times of pandemic and dealing with COVID-19, we are bringing you this show, talking to various experts and authorities and all kinds of people who are sharing their knowledge and insights as to how to better deal with the pandemic. And right now, as we speak, we are also talking about the mass scale vaccination drive going on all over, especially in India. There seems to be a lot of emphasis on how to actually battle, how to actually create safety cover, and vaccination seems to be a great idea at this point of time. So we thought, why not talk about that, discuss that, and that's why we are presenting to you this theme called Let's Vaccinate You, Me, and All. So basically saying that it's universal, we all need to vaccinate. And I'm really, really glad to have two experts here, two esteemed ladies, I would say, and they are both experts in their own rights. And Surabhi, of course, who is an IRS officer, will be joining in some time, but the other esteemed speaker is Ms. Apurva Sharan, and I'm really glad to have her here. Very truly delighted, somebody I've known also, somebody who comes with great expertise in telling us what vaccine is all about, because she knows the science of it all. And I must tell you, she's a public health researcher and with cross-cutting experience in vaccine, scientific research and policy. She's completed her master's from Johns Hopkins School of Public Health and also pursuing her PhD from the Swiss Tropical and Public Health Institute in the field of vaccine safety. So first is the vaccine, which we think is safe, and the vaccine safety that she's going to really talk about. Apurva, thank you so much to talking to us here on Her World India talk show series. Tell us, why is there an urgent need to get vaccinated? Here you are an expert, so tell us why it is so important.
First of all, thank you so much for this opportunity, Rakhi ji, and to the rest of the team at Her World India. We really enjoy your shows and I'm delighted to be a part of it. So vaccines, as you probably know, but the other members of the show don't know, are all that I've been eating, drinking and sleeping for the past 5 or 10 years. And to put it basically, vaccines are a preventive measure. It's a preventive public health measure that helps protect you against infections, and not only infections, but severe outcomes of the disease. So that includes hospitalizations and deaths from the disease. And how it does that is by priming your immune system, to put it simply, and training your immune system for developing an immune response and a memory of the immune response. So when we give a vaccine, we either give a part of the pathogen, so the infectious agent, it could be a virus, it could be a bacteria, in this case it's a virus, or we give the whole virus in its inactivated form, killed form, and we expose that, we inject it in or expose that to the human body, and the human body recognizes, your immune system recognizes that and mounts an immune response and develops a memory of it. So the next time you get infected to it, your body is going to remember and it's going to fight that immune response. But having said that, why do we need vaccinations against COVID? We need vaccinations against COVID for a wide number of reasons. So one, at an individual level, it is to protect you. We know from clinical trial data that vaccines are 100% protective against deaths and severe hospitalizations. And the protection is lesser for infections. In the real world, this percentage comes further below. So in the real world, based on the vaccines that we have available in India, we would expect 80%. But that means that if you get the vaccine, you are 80% less likely. So although no vaccines are perfect, no vaccines are such that the moment you get them, you're suddenly going to be protected against all forms of disease, and you're not going to, and the immunity is going to last forever. That's not going to happen. But at an individual level, it reduces your likelihood of getting infected, and much more importantly, it reduces your likelihood of getting serious infections and severe outcomes of the disease. At a public health level, the less people that get infected from the virus, the less opportunity the virus has to change, to mutate. So we are able to control the spread of the infection at a public health level by using vaccines as one of the many tools that are available to us to stop transmission. And the third thing is to control the spread of the virus. So if at an individual level you're getting protected, at a community level there is much more virus going around in your community now because more and more people are getting vaccinated, then there's going to be much less virus transmission. So these are the three reasons that we want to vaccinate more and more.
Purva, while I was listening to you, I was almost thinking I'm, attending a lecture series on vaccination. I think really you summed up it also beautifully. But tell us, when we are talking about vaccine hesitancy, what is it that people think about? We know that they think, oh, I will have high fever, I will have all kinds of complications. What is it that we can tell people to actually assure them that, getting vaccinated, as you said right now, scientifically you've explained it, but in simple terms for common people, that this is the best way to feel that you're covered for a very, very long time. And when we say long time, what does exactly it means? Do we think, the kind of duration that we think, oh, we are now relaxed?
So you've asked me a couple of questions and I have different answers, and please be prepared for another lecture because a lot of science does sound like lectures. But first of all, the most important question that I picked up that you've asked me was towards the end of your question. You asked me, does it mean that once I'm vaccinated, I'm going to be protected forever? And the answer to that is we don't know. We don't know how long the duration of protection will last because we've only had COVID vaccines for us for a limited period of time, right? But we certainly know that based on the studies that have been done in UK and US, that we could expect between 7 months to a year of the protection. We expect this number to be slightly different based on the different types of vaccines that are being used. So that was one. The answer, to put it plain and simple, and without going into the science of it, is we don't know the answer to how long our protection will last. We know the answer to how well we will be protected or what is the likelihood of our protection, which I've explained to you, right? The second question that you've asked me is about vaccine hesitancy and what does that mean essentially. So vaccine hesitancy could be a spectrum, if we were to imagine, between people who completely reject the vaccine and reject all vaccines to people who completely are willing to accept vaccination and all vaccinations. For COVID vaccine, there have been a few studies, and to tell you one positive thing that has come out is that the surveys that have been done in India tell us that at a proportional level, Indians are far more willing and eager to accept COVID vaccines. And this survey was done before any COVID vaccine was developed. So that tells you that our population was waiting for vaccination. However, having said that, there are fears about vaccinations. The most common thing that we hear about are concerns about its safety. Am I going to get a fever? Am I going to get a worse COVID infection? And there is some information on that. And I'll come to that in a minute. But the other point that I want to make to you about vaccine hesitancy is that it is very context specific. So in India, we have a lot of experience with vaccine hesitancy because of our fight against polio vaccines. And what we learned in the polio vaccination campaign is that the reason it took us, India was among the last 4 countries to eliminate polio from the world. The reason it took us so long is because there were these small pockets of people that would continuously refuse the vaccine. And the small pockets had to do with the socio-cultural ethos of the place. They tended to be from minority communities or from tribal communities, and where there was a high amount of mistrust against the institution. So this answer basically gives you all the directions we need to work on in vaccine hesitancy, but I'll come to that when you ask me the question. So are there any follow-up questions about this?
Yeah. I mean, I think there are lots of questions. So in India, of course, it is said that we are witnessing something like seeing COVID-19 for the first time. We got struck by it, as somebody, and I would put it lightly, somebody said, "Ye rang badalta hai," kind of thing. So we are trying to understand what COVID actually is, its various variants, which we are witnessing right now. We are from second wave. We are very apprehensive about the third wave. In that situation and scenario, a vaccine would actually mean what? I mean, how is it really going to play out in terms of, catering to large number of varied number of people? So for example, Apurva, we are also talking about the mass coverage and, different kinds of people and different kinds of situations that they are in, medical situations, health conditions. Where would you put vaccine there?
So I would say that vaccine is not a silver bullet. It's not something that is going to be the only solution that will help us control the transmission. Now, I'm going to just walk back on your question. You said that we've just gone through a very dreadful second phase, and we've all been affected by it. And we're now all scared about the third phase. So what causes these waves essentially is that when a human being comes in contact with a new virus, our immune systems have never seen the virus. Okay. And that's the first time we're learning to respond to it. And then what happens is that either we are able to stop the transmission of the virus completely, which is not possible. We can't always perfectly stay home, perfectly wash our hands, not travel anymore. So we cannot completely stop the transmission of the virus. Or we are able to all get infected, which is a very bad scenario to contemplate. Everybody gets infected, and the people who have bad outcomes of it have bad outcomes, and the others develop antibodies. And we don't even know how long those antibodies will last. The third thing is that we do our best to control as much as possible the spread of the infection. The only way to make sure that, if the same variants circulate in the population, a significant proportion of our population has already seen this variant, even among children. So there was a survey across 4 states which said 65% of the children that were surveyed between 2 to 18 years have seen COVID antibodies. So there are 2 ways in which we can anticipate a third wave. So basically, the first way is that we see a dramatically new variant, right? Sorry, there's somebody going at the back. But we see a dramatically new variant. How do we stop the dramatically new variant from coming in? How do we prevent a new variant from emerging? We prevent a new variant from emerging by giving the virus fewer and fewer opportunities to spread. And that's where vaccine comes in. And vaccine is not a silver bullet because it's not a perfect vaccine.
When you say that it's not a silver bullet, I want to actually interrupt and ask you this, because, this breakthrough infection which happened, people who had 2 vaccinations also got struck by COVID. So that's where people start to think, common people, and I'm talking about their limited knowledge as to what exactly does it do. So we know that, it protects you in certain way, but it's not that it's 100% assurance.
Yeah, and just quick, I will address this question as well, but to just quickly summarize what I was saying that vaccine is not a silver bullet, but it is a very important tool in preventing transmission and reducing the potential severity of the next wave. We know the next wave will come, and by all anticipation, in 6 to 8 months' time, we will see another wave. But will it be as bad as this one? That will depend on whether we have super spreader events, and that will depend on how much virus is going on in the community. And that will depend on whether a new variant emerges or not. The new variant will not emerge if we reduce the number of virus going out in our community. And for that, we need to not have super spreader events. We need to vaccinate as many people as possible. We need to wear our masks, wash our hands, try to meet people outside in outdoor environments, keep our homes ventilated. So these are
I think you have just said it, and I must repeat this, that if you vaccinate yourself, you understand that circle. The more you vaccinate, the more you are protecting yourself and others from any virus, which of course gets very less in numbers or less harsh in its scale. And that's how you protect the whole society and the world, let's say, at large. Also talking about, this vaccine or that vaccine, Apurva, people talk about, which vaccine am I taking? Also, somebody started to talk about the mix vaccine scenario also. How would you explain all that to people?
Okay, so I'm going to take the easier question first, the mixed vaccine scenario. There have been a few studies looking at the combination of vaccines in the UK. We have not done those studies right now, at least the data is not out, and there are no recommendations for this. So we recommend that you get the same vaccine. whatever you've gotten first, okay, for your first dose. And the reason that we do that is based on the small amounts of study that have been done in UK, which tell you that it's not, yes, in some instances, in some combinations, the effectiveness of the vaccine, the efficacy of the vaccine is more, but you're also seeing far more reactogenicity, which basically means far more side effects of the vaccine. So that is a consistent finding with combination vaccines. So I would be wary of advising for using combinations as of now. Once more data emerges and we are more clear about it, maybe we can revisit this discussion. Now, the second thing is which vaccine. So what are our options available? Basically, in India, we have 3 vaccines available as of now. There is the Covishield AstraZeneca vaccine. There is the Covaxin, which is developed by Bharat Biotech. Covishield is by Serum Institute in India. And there's the Sputnik vaccine, which has been developed by Russia. Okay, so the 3 vaccines are available. If we go by clinical trial data, I would say that for Covaxin, they've only submitted the interim data. So that data is not, that has not been reviewed by a drug regulator, for example, by WHO pre-qualifications of committees or by our DCGI. They're supposed to start submitting the rolling data for phase 3 by July, I think they mentioned. What we've seen in the interim data is that it again protects you almost 100% against severe deaths and hospitalizations, but it protects you around 77-80%. And you will see similar clinical trial data for Covishield. So between the 2 that you have right now, Covishield and Covaxin, based on clinical trial data and based on the real world experience, I would say that we expect about, if you see 100% protection in clinical trials, you would expect the number to be lower in the real world scenario, because in clinical trials, we vaccinate healthy people and we monitor them very closely. And that's not possible in the real world. So I would say that the vaccines are comparable in their immune response at the population level right now. With Sputnik, we don't have that population level experience so much right now because it's only in a few private sectors, places as of now, and it's going to come in the public sector, I think, sometime. But so it's difficult to say whether the immune response is comparable between Covishield, Covaxin versus Sputnik. If you have the chance of getting either Covishield or Covaxin right now, it doesn't matter. Please go and vaccinate yourself with whatever is available. With Sputnik, there is slightly better clinical trial data. So in clinical trials, they reported that 91% efficacy against infections. But we don't know whether that will again translate in the real world scenario or not. So it's a wait and watch thing for Sputnik. Clinical trial data looks good. It's been approved. My advice would be to go and get whatever vaccine is available to you. At the moment, there is not much difference.
Yeah, and of course, we are also waiting for Surbhi, who can give us a perspective on how we are actually dealing with covering as many people in different regions. We have just been talking to some people in Northeast and looking at how we can really cater again to people who are living in remote areas and all kinds of age groups. So how would you, but by the time Surbhi joins us, also tell us that how in India, country of such a large population and the vaccination experience, now it's 18 plus, are we really looking at catering to a large number of people? I mean, how would you really look at this new exercise, convincing a lot of people in rural areas, for example? And that is also looking like a challenge for us.
Yes. India is home to the world's largest immunization program, and that's something that we're very proud of, because we run the world's largest immunization program and provide free vaccinations to all children under the age of 5 and all pregnant women, right? So we have a lot of experience running large-scale vaccination programs. Mm-hmm. More recently, I think a few years ago, we did a vaccination campaign where we vaccinated everybody from 9 months to 15 years of age against the measles rubella vaccine. So that's a very significant proportion of population. Having said that, there is nothing that prepares the whole world in terms of vaccinating the entire adult population. So it is a significant challenge. It is a logistical challenge. It is a communication challenge. We need to, especially in the rural areas, as you've mentioned, we are seeing community specific, context specific hesitancy towards COVID vaccine. There are, and I must mention here, one thing that is the bane of my existence is the existence of WhatsApp and WhatsApp University forwards. But the rapid misinformation campaign, in fact, vaccine hesitancy was identified as one of the top 10 public health threats in 2019 by WHO. So even before there was COVID, vaccine hesitancy was becoming a problem with this rapid spread of misinformation. So it is a significant challenge, but I feel confident that because we have so many years from 1980, at least we can say that we have so many years of experience, decades of experience in running the world's largest immunization program. We're developing staggered strategies to sort of roll it out.
Okay.
The other thing that I would like to take to pay more attention to, or I would like to develop work on, is how we respond to media reports or social media reports about adverse events that come out. Because at the moment, not everybody is as well informed about how vaccines work and how protective or safe they are. And to be honest, we don't have all the data. As you know, we only have the vaccine. These are not vaccines that have existed for decades. But we need to be honest and transparent when we are communicating with the public about what the vaccine can and cannot do. If you believe the vaccine is going to forever protect you against all forms of disease, you're setting the public up for disappointment. So I think transparent, honest communication, setting our goals of the vaccine program right about what we expect it to do are going to play a very important role as we reach out and expand into more rural areas and communities.
Okay, so we have a lot of people here also. I can see that Archana Bhattacharya ji has just joined. I know that somebody who's very dear to you, Apurva, has also joined us. Happens to be your mother. So, I mean, you're also open to ask any question, Madam Madhu Sharan, if you have any question here. And in fact, I should ask you a question whether, please admit Madhuji also here, my team, and Archana ji both, and let them also answer my question, which is also directed to them as to how did they feel getting vaccinated? What was the experience like? Let's wait because they must be getting unmuted and all that. Madhuji and Archana ji.
Am I audible, Rakhi?
Yeah, Archana ji has come in. Yes, yes, please go ahead. Archana ji, we are talking
anyway, after a long time, I'm joining you. I was busy in my other programs, and I just finished and I decided to join. Anyway, you have taken up a very good issue, like, you know, creating public awareness. Now, the thing is that you are asking me about my feelings as to how I felt when I got my first shot, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't anything different, like probably because, you know, I belong to a doctor's family. My husband's a doctor, son-in-law doctor, daughter is a doctor. So I took it very, in a very casual manner. Like I was not frightened or like, you know, I took it very positively. I thought it was my duty, you know, because if I take the shot, then I will be able to, you know, inspire, motivate others to do likewise. I shouldn't be, you know, bogged down by any kind of superstitious beliefs or the kind of beliefs that were making the rounds. Don't go for vaccine shots or you will fall sick. In 2 years' time, you might die. These are the kind of rumors making the rounds. No, and so like I was into it in a very positive manner. I went for the second shot also.
So what would you say that others should do? And also you can also ask questions to Apurva, because Apurva happens to be somebody who knows the science of it all. She's studying it. She knows she has the experience of knowing all the threads related to be knowledgeable about vaccination and vaccine. She knows it in and out. So Archana, you can ask any question also to Apurva.
Actually, I missed out the greater part of what Apurva was sharing, but I'm sure she created a lot of awareness amongst participants today, and she's doing a good job if she's creating that kind of awareness with her subjective knowledge. And of course, these needs to be spread. I mean, public awareness needs to be created. The phobia, the fear factor that still reigns among a certain section of people, that needs to be, deleted. Like, that is one of the things, even now, even here in the place where I reside, I often get an opportunity to talk to people who ask me, have you taken your shot? I said, of course, I have finished both the shots. And they would say, no, we haven't even gone for the first shot. And I would ask them why. He said, nee, I've heard that, people fall sick, or as a rumor is making the round in certain places that after 2 years also, reaction might set in, and some people might die also, on all those kind of, hogwash talks that's making the round. And of course, I don't believe, I always encourage whomever I talk to, I encourage them to go ahead, because this is our primary responsibility, and it's a duty also, to take the shot, to save ourselves, to save our family, and to save all others with whom we come into contact.
Okay, so that was nice, Archana ji, that you shared it all. Any other question? My team, I just requested Madam Madhu Sharan to be unmuted, and if in case it's her wish, of course, if she wants to speak or say anything that she wants to share here.
हेलो
जी मैडम, आपका बहुत स्वागत है, और I would like you to say something about vaccination that is going on right now.
I think Apurva has covered a lot, but I have covered a lot, and she has made aware, done a good work, but at the same time she must make awareness about, there are a lot of questions about pregnancy and vaccination.
Okay.
Also about the people, women who are breastfeeding their children, whether they should be vaccinated, and also about pregnant women, whether they should be vaccinated. These two questions she must make in this program answer, because that is a lot of hesitancy, and this is debated these days a lot.
Yeah, in fact, in some of our earlier episodes, when we were talking to some medical experts, we of course asked that, but I think coming from you, Apurva, would be a good idea if you could answer those questions, because we are of course talking a lot about women's health here. And when talking about both these, whether it's about pregnancy or whether about breastfeeding, I think you can answer that question as rightly asked by Madam Sharan.
So I think that based on the current evidence, the benefits of vaccinating pregnant and lactating women far outweigh the risk of not vaccinating pregnant and lactating. We know that although pregnant women are not more susceptible to getting infected, once they do get infected, they have a higher likelihood of getting more severe disease. And this impacts not only the mom, but also the baby. So the risks of getting a COVID infection among pregnant and lactating women. We know also that pregnant women, the immune response in the profile of pregnant women is different from other healthy adults. Okay? So they carry grave risks. At the same time, although clinical trials did not include pregnant women, currently we recommend that, I firmly believe, I strongly believe that pregnant women and lactating women should get vaccinated.
Oh, but
because
are there any data regarding that, about that if the pregnant women have taken a vaccination, the outcome has been good, or is there no side effects about that? Is there any data regarding that?
So there is data about it, but the data is limited. This is because vaccine manufacturers have had a historical hesitance to including pregnant women in any studies, and that is understandable. There are a few countries that have started recommending vaccination of pregnant women, including the US, which has left it to a choice. And the WHO says, based on the currently available data, vaccines, as well as the risk in women, we have to balance and increase. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. There was a little network issue, but let me also, I mean, I have the opportunity to having Surbhi here joining in also. And I'm sure Surbhi was, must be handling maybe some urgent work in office, and she's now been able to join us. Surbhi, welcome. You're joining from Chandigarh, isn't it?
Yes, hi Rakhi. I hope I'm audible, right?
You're audible
Yeah.
and visible both. So welcome to the show. But I think Apurva is just completing
Thank you so much.
her sentence. So let her finish her information and then I come back to you. Apurva, please go ahead. I think there is some network problem there when she was speaking about a very, very important issue. And so she was talking about whether pregnant women should get vaccinated, and then somebody from the participant list, Madam Madhu Sharan, also happens to be a mother, asked whether there is any data on that. So we have a lot of women joining in here. We just had Archana Bhattacharjee also from the Northeast joining. But Surbhi, tell us also, because we are trying to cover people at a mass scale. There's a vaccination movement going on. We really want to give safety cover to a lot of people. What is your experience as somebody who's been handling things or at the administrative level also? Is that how challenging it is to vaccinate so many people in India?
See, it is definitely a challenging task, and this is something that we knew from day one. I think the more challenging aspect here is vaccine hesitancy, which is still a problem. So I still see people around me, educated and let's say not so educated, who are still hesitant to get themselves vaccinated. So I would say vaccination in India is a two-pronged, if not more, problem. So firstly, the vaccine hesitancy, and secondly, the accessibility, let's say, like whether the vaccination is accessible to you, even if you want to get yourself inoculated. So these are the two aspects of it. So probably the vaccination drive in India started way early in the year, but there was so much hesitancy and we could not cover as many people as we should have, let's say, because that time there was a lot of supply of vaccination also available. Everything was available, but we could not cover them, let's say, till 1st of May. And that's how the load entirely shifted on the the 2 months, that's April and May. And also along with the second wave, everything just got aggravated. So the vaccine hesitancy, I think, is something that we need to still deal with at a very large scale. There are still populations, I mean, I would not even say whether they're educated or uneducated, people across the spectrum are hesitant to get themselves vaccinated. People see, there are a very few cases who, let's say, got infected with COVID, or, there were fatalities after getting vaccinated, but probably they had other issues. But people have developed this fear in themselves regarding the vaccination.
So basically, basically when you're talking about vaccine hesitancy, and that's what Apurva was also trying to tell us. And in fact, she informed a lot of things because she researches and studies vaccine and the science of it all. Surbhi, is that a lot of misinformation is doing the rounds. And that's where we need to have very fact-based information system going on right now. We're trying to do that from many ways, from the government level to civil society, to people, to health workers. Everyone is at it. But how to really say that, what is correct? So of course, there are a lot of sessions like us, for example, holding with medical experts and saying, oh, this is the right thing happening and this is the way to go. But how to really get people on board, especially in rural areas? The same question I asked Apurva also, but from your experience, what would you say, covering people in rural areas, especially women also, how tough it is, Surbhi?
I think we need to show them examples of the positive effect and the, let's say, negative of not getting themselves vaccinated. So right now, their impression of getting themselves vaccinated is all those who got vaccinated probably suffered COVID, or let's say there were fatalities because of that. So there is misinformation. Like you just said, I think Apurva also mentioned the same thing. There are a lot of misinformation that is in the rural areas especially. So regarding this, this is what we need to focus on, spreading the word at the rural level. And there's so many health workers in the rural areas. There are so many of them, the ANMs, the Anganwadi workers. All of these can at least spread the positive information that if, or let's say another way, is telling them that, well, if you don't get yourself vaccinated, this is the the only option that you have. So you just
Yeah.
have to get yourself vaccinated.
Get
So-
emphasis and a super emphasis on the fact that you need to get vaccinated. But as Apurva is back here, and she was actually completing her sentence when we
Sorry,
started
yeah.
talking to her. No, that's all right. So Apurva, you were talking about the data, which was asked about the pregnant
Pregnant
women.
women, pregnant and
Yes.
lactating women. So yeah, so as I mentioned, there is very limited data. A few countries have allowed vaccination of pregnant women. In India, we have made a recommendation now that pregnant women should get vaccinated, looking at the potential risk of not vaccinating a pregnant woman and the known safety data profile. What the WHO says is that we should all pregnant women who are at an increased risk of exposure. So if you are a health worker, or if you have a comorbidity that makes you more vulnerable to infections, initially that was the recommendation, that if you are more vulnerable to an infection or a serious outcome of the infection because of your immune status, you should get vaccinated. Now, as more and more data emerges, we've changed the recommendation, and our NTAG has actually recommended that all pregnant women and lactating women should get vaccinated. So that's where we are at. I just wanted to also address the issue about vaccine hesitancy really quickly, because two things. One is that, as Surabhi rightly pointed out, it's not necessarily a rural India problem or a specific community problem, or it's widespread, but it is also diverse. Vaccine hesitancy is an umbrella term, because people have different kinds of fears about vaccines. A lot of people don't want to take vaccines because they are worried that they will have really bad side effects. So they're concerned about vaccine safety, but then a lot of people are also thinking that I'm not going to be protected by the disease. So that's a second kind of concern. A systematic effort is underway by the government of India, as I'm sure you know, to characterize the nature of vaccine hesitancy. And we can only solve a problem if we know what the nature of the problem is. So if there are safety concerns, yes, we need to do larger studies to assess safety in the population to get more accurate rates. But based on whatever studies we have right now, we should inform the public honestly about the safety of the safety profile of these vaccines and how long I'm going to be protected. Similarly, if there are concerns about whether it's going to work or not, we need to be able to respond. And specifically in rural areas or in communities which are more close-knit, our experience tells us that engaging with community leaders, faith-based leaders, tribal leaders, engaging with women, because in जो गांव की दादी होती है, अगर आप उनको convince कर देंगे कि टीकाकरण अच्छी चीज है, तो वो गांव में सबको कन्विंस कर पाएंगे कि टीकाकरण अच्छी चीज है. So that's basically an important thing. We need to understand first and address strategies and take people into confidence. Be honest and take people into confidence.
Yeah, in fact, I must say, and especially from the Her World India platform, because we believe very strongly on gender equality, is that there has to be equity as far as health situation of women is concerned and vaccination is concerned. So, for example, when we were talking to the people in Northeast also, they of course are asking a lot of women and girls to come out and get vaccinated. Also women who think that household chores are much more important than getting vaccinated. Please get the knowledge right. Go and get vaccinated first. Surabhi, what is your take?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Apurva mentioned regarding community leaders, I think India functions through, at least rural India functions through community leaders. Like, I think that is a lesson that we've learned and we should have learned long ago. So that is absolutely correct, that vaccine hesitancy has to be a bottom-up approach. So maybe we focus on the rural areas and then go upwards. And from rural areas also, we go for a community spread wherein we focus on the community leaders, make them understand, convince them that, it is that important. And then we trickle it down to the grassroots level. And I would also like to just add on here that we need to also, along with vaccine hesitancy, removing vaccine hesitancy, we need to also focus on the mask up issue. People have removed their masks, and from what I understand, COVID in India as of now is multi-pronged. So one is the post-COVID morbidities which are still going on, or let's say the first wave infections which are going on. Second is the opening up of the economic activities which has happened, which has led to people moving out and walking around without masks. Then is the vaccination which we're talking about, and fourthly is the third wave which we need to be prepared. So I think we should also couple the vaccine hesitancy, information, misinformation cover up with the importance of wearing a mask. Like, I mean, people we should not forget that wearing a mask is not important. Like, it is as important because third wave is coming and the way people are thronging around. I mean, I think it is important for economic activity. Absolutely, it is important. But I mean, there is so much of unnecessary travel and unnecessary moving out also that is happening. So, I mean, we really don't know our vaccine efficacy in that respect for the third wave at least. So we got to be prepared with all sorts of agendas in mind, and we need to, stay indoors, wear a mask, and be vaccinated. So it has to be
also, on a little lighter note, I would like to share here that, people are getting incentives or incentivized. For example, saying, let's say people going to wedding parties, they have to show their vaccination certificate. That's what I read on social media. Or people are being told that, if you get vaccinated, this is how you become a little better than others who are not. So there are, there is this thing being circulated also that getting vaccinated is a smart idea. And, you becoming smarter in many ways.
In the US, there's a lottery. If you're fully vaccinated, you're eligible to enter into a lottery, I think, in a few states, and somebody won $1 million. I think that's a very good idea,
Okay.
although may not be feasible here.
I was trying to get Surabhi into the conversation now, saying, because she's an income tax officer, that you can think of some great economic incentives.
We really need something though. I absolutely agree. We need something like that in India at least.
Okay.
I just want to come in for a minute and just
Sure. Please let her in. Yeah.
Share one of my experience, which is also about vaccine awareness, because apart from lactating women and different things about vaccination, there is another misinformation and rather no information when to take vaccine after you have got COVID. I know few people who got infected with COVID, and soon after recovering, they went for vaccination and they died. So this information is very, very less available in the society, and Surabhi, as a government servant and must be officer, she must be involved in all these kinds of government-run programs. This awareness should be also brought in the health workers field, that to educate people about when to take vaccine if you had COVID, because that also creates a lot of vaccine hesitancy. Because if somebody dies, they think they have died because they have taken a COVID vaccine. So that misinformation is also spreading. I know personally few people.
That's a very good input that you've actually shared. So the timing becomes very important, and I think I should get Apurva here to talk about it.
So yeah, I mean, Mom, if you had to ask me tough questions, I wish you'd ask me.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But to address what she's saying, so the way vaccines work, if you get a vaccine very quickly after your infection, you're not going to have any harmful effects from that. It's not that, you're immune. There will be an overlapping immune response, but it doesn't mean that the vaccine is going to harm. It certainly does mean that, from the original infection, at least we knew that the response of the infection, the antibodies were good enough to protect you for 7 months. Okay. With the Delta variant, that may vary, but let's assume it is around that value. So it means it is either a waste of the infection that you have now survived and gotten protective antibodies against, or it is a waste of the vaccine, because we know you're going to be protected from your antibodies. So there is going to be no harmful effect of you getting a vaccine very shortly after infection, But from a public health perspective, because we want to provide vaccines to as many vulnerable people as possible, we would recommend that you vaccinate after 4 to 8 weeks of your infection. Okay, because we know you are going to be protected in that time, for sure. And we can administer the vaccine to as many people as possible. And even a single dose counts. It does provide some protection against the disease, right? So that's the
and the duration between the two, as a lot of people we know, in fact, sometime earlier, and you know this question very well, Apurva, what should be the duration, the gap between the two?
So it depends on the type of vaccine. Okay. This whole discussion happened because of the Covishield vaccine, and the UK shortened its duration between two doses based on certain data. And we recommended between 12 to 16 weeks. Okay, that's the recommendation right now. And again, this is based on a public health perspective. First of all, what do we know for sure? We know for sure that extending your second dose, so postponing your second dose, actually provides a slightly stronger immune response. Okay. How well that translates at the population level, we don't know. But from the smaller studies that have been done, we know that at even between 4 weeks and 6 weeks, you have a stronger response at 6 weeks, at least against the original virus. All right. So that's what the 12-week guideline was based on. Now, knowing in India, we allowed for this 4 weeks, flexibility. Basically, we're saying between 12 to 16 weeks. Knowing that vaccine supply is limited in the coming months, knowing we want to provide vaccines to as many people as possible, and also knowing that a large proportion of our population has now developed some amount of antibodies against coronavirus because of the tremendous second wave, that allows us to make this decision at a public health level. This will allow us to reach more and more people with a single dose. So that's what the 12 and 16 weeks is based on. 12 because better antibody response based on data, 16 because flexibility and public health perspective. I mean, that's how I understand it.
Now, if I could just come in, and I have another question regarding the Delta variant. So
I was just
it's okay. Studies. I'm so impressed with Apurva's research. I really want to gain some knowledge here, because are there any studies that provide us any kind of data with respect to Delta variant and the vaccination? Which vaccination will help us with the Delta variant and which won't? Any brand, or what is it like?
Yeah. And can I just have a supplementary also to that, is that now we are talking about this guideline, the EMA guideline, which Covishield is just seeking. So, first you can answer the Delta variant. Yeah. And the other one also. Yeah.
Okay. So for the Delta variant, what we know is that, the vaccine provides you protection against different outcomes. It provides you protection against just getting the infection. It provides you also protection against severe disease and hospitalization and deaths. Okay, so there are these gradients that it will provide you protection against. And the way the spectrum moves is that you are most protected against the most severe outcome in this case. So there was a recent study by Public Health England, which tells us that against the original variant, there was about the clinical trials reported that there was 100% protection against severe deaths and hospitalizations. That's now down to 92% from Public Health England. But that still is significant protection. There have also been studies in Vellore, for example, in India. And I don't want to misquote myself, but I remember reading it was around 65 to 66% against any disease is what we were saying. And then there was initially against the Delta variant, against its effectiveness against any infection is much lower. It's about 50% lower than the existing Moderna vaccine, which is what Pfizer biotech vaccine, which is against what it was compared to. But so we know that it protects less against getting any type of infection, symptomatic infection, of a Delta variant. Okay, a single dose will protect you about only 33%, and even a dual dose will protect you against 66%. But against severe hospitalizations and deaths, that efficacy is far higher. So that's the most updated data that I have, Public Health England.
Okay, Surbhi, so that answers your question. And of course, any other question that anybody else also wants to ask can always ask. But मैं चूंकि बहुत सारे लोग अगर ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में देख रहे हूँ या बात कर रहे हो, तो एक चीज जो मुझे समझाई गई और अच्छी भी लगी कि ये एक तरह का वैक्सीनेशन की जब हम बात करते हैं तो एक छाते की तरह है कि वो बारिश से तो बचाता है, लेकिन ये नहीं कहिए कि वो कुछ बूंदे जो है वो आपको इधर से उधर टच
बिल्कुल सही बात है। हाँ,
तो ये एक छाता है और आपको बारिश से बचाता है, ये सेफ्टी कवर है आपके लिए, तो वैक्सीनेट जरूर कराएं। सुरभि, आपको कुछ कहना है तो बताइए।
बिल्कुल, आई थिंक आपने बिल्कुल बहुत अच्छे से बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम्पल रहा था। अब जो छोटी मोटी बूंदे आएंगी उसके लिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं? एक मास्क डाल के रख सकते हैं, वी शुड वेयर अ मास्क। वैक्सीनेशन के बाद भी मास्क डाल के रखें, हम अवॉइड करें, वी शुड अवॉइड जितना भी बाहर जा सके। See, economic activity, everybody knows you have to work. People have, like, COVID has really affected a lot of people, a lot of businesses, a lot of people who have been working, the small laborers, everybody is affected. So we are not telling them to stay indoors and not go for work. You should go for work, but maintain COVID protocol. So if you have a small business, if there are some listeners who have a small business, let's say a shop also. So you must run your shop, you must open it. The government has opened everything up, the economic activity has started, but maintain COVID protocol. उसमें आपको क्या करना चाहिए? आप मास्क डाल के रखिए, maintain social distancing, use a sanitizer as much as possible, wash your hands, ensure that your workers are vaccinated. So COVID protocol maintain करते हुए, we can run this country, we can ensure that the economic activity keeps going on until we reach a stage wherein we have to again maybe start impose a lockdown. But until then, we should let things keep going on, but then maintain COVID protocol. Like COVID
Surbhi, since you are here and you're involved with also the economic part of the governance, so to say, so what is your message to so many women and girls as to how at this time during the lockdown and the decreased economic activity and opportunities, especially for women, what would you advise them? How to be confident, look at opportunities, be still believing in themselves, trying out new areas? What would be your advice?
I would say this is a very good opportunity for women, for that matter, actually, because now while doing their home chores, they can still be working. So working from home, which has become the new normal, is the best thing for a woman, especially, let's say, for a woman who are running household. So for them, it is the best thing that can happen. So they can manage their household and at the same time, they can work and earn a living. So I would say, look out for opportunities. Don't sit back one moment. There are so many opportunities for women. And also, I would feel that somewhere COVID has also led to affecting their mental balance, I would say. So we should ensure that women also, participate in any sort of activity, which can be, let's say, some physical activity that they can do at home, and any sort of yoga or something like that, which they can do so that they don't suffer from that anxiety because of the lockdown and the COVID and all the grim situation outside. One is that, and secondly, I would say that it is the best opportunity, best time for women to go for opportunities, seek opportunities, because you can work from home. So you can manage your household, you don't have to step out. For women who are somewhere they feel a little unsafe with the environment, or for women who cannot travel a lot for whatever reasons, because they have family, they have children. So now they can sit in the environment of their house, manage their household, and at the same time do a very good job. Like all the best jobs now out there are now open for women. So I would, really be that they should go out there and, not hesitate one bit. So sometimes, I feel women are also very hesitant in approaching opportunities. कि मिलेगा नहीं मिलेगा, nahi denge hame travel करना पड़ेगा, or things like that. So I would say that you should just go out there and seek opportunities, and there are multiple opportunities available. So don't sit at home and don't sit back at all.
How sweetly you put it, and it really, really empowers us. At least it empowers me when I'm listening to all this, because we're talking to a whole number of people. Right down, lockdown has created anxiety, as you rightly said. Uncertain future, kya hoga, kaise hoga, kind of questions coming up, especially for women. I think it's very important to believe in themselves, and as rightly Surbhi, you said, seek opportunities. Also, I think the silver lining is that through these digital platforms and mediums, you're also connected online. So, for example, you're listening to experts online, sitting here, we were talking to people in, other countries, UK and USA, we had experts coming in and joining the show. So I think that's also an opportunity in a way to enhance your learning base, to expand it, and then to be, honing your skills, so to say, and go ahead. So Surbhi, these are very, very good ideas. And of course, the message here that we're really trying to promote, and both Apurva and you have tried to really strengthen that idea of vaccinating in a very universal manner. So everyone should get vaccinated. That is the whole idea. Please do not think anything or do not think otherwise. It is a good idea. So do we have Apurva here?
Yes, I'm here. I can't somehow start my video, but I'm here listening.
So we are just wrapping up now. So any last words of wisdom on the show?
Wisdom is a big word, but I would just like to reiterate what you've been saying. So vaccination is important. Please go ahead and vaccinate. But also please practice COVID appropriate behavior. Please remember to wear a mask, wash your hands. The fight is not over yet, but we are fully equipped to do this. We are basically the deciding factor about which side of the fight we end up on. So remember.
Yeah, and one thing that some of the experts were saying, and I want to repeat here as well, is that when you go to vaccinate, don't also create a crowd out there, because when you're getting vaccinated, at the same time you're creating those dangers of getting infected as well. So don't do that. Create that decorum and feel safe only. If there are any last questions or from anyone who's participating, or any query that we have from anyone, I open this house also for just 2-3 minutes. I think most of the talking has been done by lots of women, all of us. and some of the critical questions, of course, have been answered by you, Apurva. And we're not stopping here. We'll actually take this conversation of vaccination, in future episodes as well. Tomorrow is Doctors' Day. We'll be talking to doctors also about all the precautions, dimensions that are, being seen as far as COVID is concerned. And we'll keep tracking all those here at Herbal India platform. So thank you so much, both the ladies joining in here on Herbal India. We really need your encouragement and support. Do watch us. This episode is available on YouTube, but also we keep tracking us on Facebook, on Instagram and Twitter. And do encourage, write to us, give us your feedback and ideas. If there are any themes that you'd like us to be taken up, we would definitely also take that. So more power to all of you, and do vaccinate. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Rashi. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes.
Yeah, we'll keep talking again. We'll be in touch. Yes. Take care. And to whole Herbal India team, thank you so much for being all the time tirelessly working, arranging the show. And of course, all the women and girls out there, more power to you. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone for joining in. Yeah.
Bye.